seconds. It'll be a good presentation, I hope. Bit of presentation from Keynote and then straight into a live presentation with Vectorworks. And a site with 40,000 trees on. Okay, let's go. Okay, my name is Steve Skagebrook and I'm a director with Vantagepoint Cartographics Ltd, and we are mappers. And you may want to know what we do. We look at large forests, arboretums, large and small gardens, and much, much more. And we go around them and we map them. We map the trees, we put the trees onto a map accurately to northing and eastings, and then we attach data to those trees. And you can see one up here now, which is actually the National Memorial Arboretum in Orwas in Derbyshire. Why do we use Vectorworks? Well, it's simple. Vectorworks is very intuitive in drawing. I'm old school, I come from a drawing board, and using Vectorworks was very much like drawing on the old board, which is why I quite like it. We have a very good symbols library. It is cross-platform between PC and Mac, which is incredibly important for a lot of people. And we have a scripting language that we can use that is incredibly powerful, and it goes a long way to doing the things that we do on within Vectorworks. There is a very powerful database and a rich export function, which adds up to a whole package of things that we like as far as Vectorworks is concerned. As far as mapping is concerned, symbols are incredibly important to us, and what we can hang on the back of that symbol, data, the tree, the type, its Latin, its common name, its height, breadth, width, canopy height, canopy spread, everything we hang on the back of these symbols. So the fact that Vectorworks has got a very powerful database system that we can attach to these symbols was the big plus as far as we are concerned. As you can see, a whole area there, and this is the National Memorial Arboretum, 40,000 trees, each one of them catalogued, and each of the symbols may have 2 or 3 databases attached to it. Now this gets a little heavy when the map is trying to regenerate itself, but as far as we're concerned, it's the information within the map that's most important. And I'll go into that and I'll show you more later. So quickly, let's go over to Vectorworks itself and have a look and see what we've got. Let's try and get across to window and down to the default drawing sheet. No, I don't want to save you, and my mouse is giving me all sorts of trouble. And the map is over a little bit. Joel, have you got something I can just put underneath the... oh. Yeah. Apple one as well. I'm left-handed, you see. Ah, there we go. Let's just move these things out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And let's go through to design screen 2. We've done all this. Let's go on to 3, where we've got the maps and everything else going on. And here we've got quite an interesting scenario that we use symbols an awful lot to record the data we have. Now the symbols come out of the library that we have in here, and as you can see, each Vectorworks display that you can have, I can open up any of the drawings underneath, and I can import and use those symbols within my own drawing here. Now in this particular one, I've got a whole load of stuff, but there are all my trees all lined up, and I've got hundreds of them, all different types of trees that I particularly need. And so, as far as Vectorworks in its general sense is concerned, I can just drag a whole tree off and I can put it onto my drawing wherever I like. The information that is on that tree is in 2 portions. The actual position of the tree, but more importantly, the data that is hanging on the back of that tree. Now in this particular case, I've only got one database hanging on it, and you can see there is an accession code, which is a unique number for that tree, the height, the trunk width, the canopy spread, the length, the Latin and common name of that particular tree. And it's quite easy to input into here. Just by putting on there, I can change that quite easily, and I can call that willow. And that tree now, the name of that tree is now willow, and it's quite easy to do this. I can also use, if I wanted to, the functions within Vectorworks to search for that particular tree, and I can also use the functions within Vectorworks to map in a basic way what is on there. I can count the number of trees, either willows, sycamores, oaks, or the Latin names, and I can use the standard spreadsheet system to show exactly what is there. And to a certain extent, I can actually use the custom selection tools down here to select and find particular trees on there. Now this is fine, I can find all the oak trees on there if I want, but to be honest, it is useful in a simple way. If you've got 10 trees, 20 trees, it's great, but if you've got 35,000 trees, 40,000 trees, it gets a little heavy for it, and this is where we've turned to the scripting language within Vectorworks to put together a package of scripts, and we've got 140 sitting there at the moment, which do all sorts of things, including putting up a nice menu system for you. So the ability for this to be cross-platform, which is what I talked about earlier, is incredibly important, because although we design on Mac, a lot of our clients are on PC, and therefore we need that cross-platform ability. Let's just see where we're going. Okay, let's cancel out of that, and I won't use that to do anything, but you can see the system that Vectorworks gives you, and that is a custom search where you can find and locate trees. But what happens if you have that sort of scenario, where you've got about 39,500 trees? At the last count, there's over 40,000 probably now sitting there. Each one of them catalogued, each one of them accurately placed to a northing and easting, and each one with 3 or 4 databases sitting there, assisting both the designer, the keepers, the gardeners, and more important, the health and safety of the site. But don't forget, this is actually a site where the public are allowed, and therefore there is a health and safety requirement to check each tree and to make sure that they are actually safe to be walked by. Where are we going now? Lots more functions. Okay. One of the things that Vectorworks is pretty good at, and my screen is a little strange for me at the moment, I hope it's coming out all right up the top there. One of the things that we can do is to change the menu system. Vectorworks has a very powerful ability to change the menu. Now the menu you get here is my particular one, is the architect, and that is where I generally tend to work. But when we're looking at the functions that we want to add, we want to give the client a user-friendly interface, in other words a menu system that allows us to use the functions that we've got. And here you can see I've now added 4 new commands onto the line. VP commands, VP tools, VP file, and VP label. I'm not going to show you all of them, there's just far too many up there to go through. What I'm going to try and do is to go through a couple of them and show you the search functions that we've added to Vectorworks. So what have we got? We've got a site here, 30,000 trees, 39,000 and a bit trees, and I want to find particular trees. Or I can use the same technology and I can hide other data within here. Now, because this is the National Memorial Arboretum, I've got dedications as well. So all the dedications for the servicemen who died in the last 2 wars are on my computer, and I can search and I can show you, if they are listed there, where their dedication is. And again, it's the same technology. A symbol's been used, and we can hang data on the back of that symbol to show exactly where his its dedication is, because don't forget, animals came into this as well. So the first one we want to bring up is we're on the we're on the tree live layer, and the tree live layer is where we hang all the trees. There's actually a lot more data on the back of this, but because there's so much here, it takes time to generate. So I'm not going to bring it up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the functions of search. And let's have a look at Find by Record. The Find by Record brings up quite an interesting little menu system with a series of drop downs. Now this is a lot quicker than trying to add menu items in the standard Vectorworks search. And what we've got is a series of menus that we can start to look at. Now in this particular case, if you notice when it came up, I'd already got one set for wild cherry. Now if I'm an arboriculturalist and I want to know where all my wild cherries are, I happen to know that there are 16 up there, and you can see that up on the screen. And I can locate them all, but the interesting thing is I can put a locator on them. Now the locator, I can have all sorts of bits hanging on it. I can have just an ordinary arrow, or I can do black, blue, green, yellow, any sort of locator. And for this one, I'm going to choose a blue locator. I'm going to show where all the 16 cherry trees are. Now the map's going to have to regenerate. There's so many trees up there, it's trying to draw. And you can see there that the trees are now being marked on there. And that's nice, because as an arboriculturalist, I can now go around and start to look at all the trees that are interesting to me on this particular day. Whether they're sycamores, oaks, cherries, wild cherries, I can do them all. The interesting thing is that I can also look for other species, and I can leave those on there. So let's again bring up our commands and go to the Find by Record, and I'm going to change that wild cherry, and let's look at oaks. Immediately, it's told me how many oaks on there. This is not having to wait, this is not a video, this is live searching the base. 40,000 trees, it's told me immediately there are 1,400 oaks on there. That's far too many. I just get rings all over the place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refine that down. Now if I can spell correctly, and I'm going to start to look for Mongolian oaks, and there are only 2 on there. Immediately the database has been searched, and we can now tell you where those are. Now, I've already got some blue rings up there, and I don't particularly want them to be misunderstood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change them. I'm going to put these down as red ones. And let's locate these as well. Now a feeling these are going to be off the screen somewhere. I'm going to have to move it. But you can see the number of trees on there. It's having to regenerate all the time. And it's shown me where those 2 Mongolian oaks are. They're at the top end of the park, and they're not too far away from each other. Now hopefully what I can do is I can drag this up, because you can also see that the blue rings I did for the wild cherry are still there. Now this is useful. Perhaps I want to do a search for a particular species, or if I've got some of these trees and they've been moved down to the dead layer. Because don't forget, Vectorworks is a layered CAD system, whereby each of the design layers I can use. In this particular case, I can put my dead trees onto a dead tree layer, and I can actually go into the database and I can add data to that dead tree to show why it died, what happened to it, the time, everything. And I can also search and show disease patterns by just looking up dead trees. Now in this particular case, I don't particularly want the blue trees there. I want to get rid of them. And the simple thing is I can clear locators. But instead of having to just clear locators, all of them, I can just clear the blue ones. And I can delete them out. It'll get rid of them, and leaving me with my 2 wild cherries, I hope. There they go. So this is incredibly important. A system that allows me to search and to keep that search on my screen. Now I can send that as a viewport up to my printing medium, and I can send it out to a client, or up to my arboriculturalist saying I particularly want to get rid of these, or whatever. The system is there to be used. The fact that we've used 140 scripts to do it is in the background. You don't get to see this. All you've got is a menu system that allows you to use and update the system. One of the questions you get asked an awful lot in this particular sort of presentation is, Well, what happens if I start to change information? In other words, the canopy changes or my tree type changes, in other words, it's died and I've pushed it to the back, how do you add new ones? Well, there are a number of ways you can do this, and we've given you the tools to do it. Now, there are about 4 different ways to add information on. We prefer you to use our menu system, and to, the easiest way is to place any symbol. And the place any symbol, again, is one of our menu scripts that chooses a symbol from your symbol library, and they're all listed down there, every single one of them, the conifer small. And because this system is mapped out to a northing and easting, every single tree is actually located to a northing and easting, which means that if I want to put a tree on there, I can do it in a number of ways. I can use triatellation. In other words, I can go onto the site, I can measure it, and I can tell exactly where that tree is going by the good old-fashioned tape measure. I can actually go and tell people where it should be, in other words, to my design. Now, I can do that in a number of ways. I can place the tree where I particularly want it and take the northing and easting from the map, or I can actually tell the map to put a tree at a particular northing and easting. And as you can see there, there's there's one in the map already, and I've got a place on there. Let's just place that tree into place, and it's going to put a ring around it and show me exactly where it is. Aren't you, map? There it goes. So I've actually placed a tree on there, ready for me to put information in. Now, the reason why we want you to use the menu system is quite simple. You could take that symbol out of the library, drag it in and put it in, no problem at all. But the benefit of using this particular system is that one of the databases we've hung on the back of it is actually a date timestamp. So I know exactly when the tree was put there, how it was put there, and why it was put there. And again, the information is there forever. Do I want to do that? No. So we've got a pretty good system. We've got a very powerful CAD package. We've got an enhancement to that to aid the placing and keeping and the recording of trees. And for our purposes, we've got a number of clients all over the UK who are using this to great effect. It's a very powerful system, but the beauty of it is not standalone. You're not locked into using this particular system because we can export it in a number of different ways. Now, the first one everybody asks is it DWG compatible? Well, of course it is. It's Vectorworks. I can export into any sort of different system quite easily just by exporting. I can switch layers on and off, and I can send pertinent information. I can even give the whole file to my client and tell them to go onto the Vectorworks DevCheck site, and you can download the free viewer, and my client is now happy. He can't use my scripts in there, but at least he can use and search some of the simpler tools that I showed previously. Printing, again, is exactly the same. And the roundels that I've got and I'm showing it here, and I'm particularly not moving things around too much because that happens. Every time I move, the system will want to regenerate, and at 40,000 trees, it takes quite a while to do it in terms of computer power. So I can print, I can send these to the viewport. My roundels I can keep on there because they're only a symbol after all, and I can push them out into a proper A3, A1 paper print. I can PDF and I can send that out. Okay. So what else can I do with my system? Well, the beauty of this is that there is a rich and powerful database system within Vectorworks. But the Vectorworks program will only allow me to do so much with it. And to be honest, not as much as you really want to do. Place the tree, know where the tree is, know what the name of that tree is, and a certain amount of that information in terms of its condition and everything. One of the things that we've developed and done a lot of work is the exporting of that information through into Filesmaker. Now, if you're on Mac, you'll know Filesmaker because it's the standard database system. But Filesmaker is also cross-compatible with PCs. So therefore, what we want to do is to take out the information from Vectorworks, add it to FileMaker, and allow FileMaker to hang an awful lot more of information onto that. So what I will do now is go over to FileMaker. Let's put that up and see what happens. There we go. FileMaker can now use this information and add to it. In other words, where did the tree come from? What collection did that tree come from? Who was the supplier? Why did he supply it? The price that he gave you? Everything about that tree can now be added. I don't want to add it to Vectorworks because it doesn't do me any good in there. The best use of it is now in a powerful database system where we can track and record all the information for that tree. So, again, we've written this. It's totally compatible with the data in Vectorworks. We've written the scripts that allow you to get the information out and into FileMaker. And again, back in again. Some of the clients that we've got don't want to draw. They want us to use the information in the database to keep the map current and up to date. And we can do this simply by adding new plants into the database, giving it a northing and easting, and when the information is sent back to Vectorworks, Vectorworks will redraw the map and add the new trees in. So there is no added information required. It's all there, ready to be done, because the database has told Vectorworks exactly what's to be done. And that is the power of using FileMaker, Vectorworks, and the Vantagepoint Garden suite of plugins that we sell and use. I'll quickly take you into this, and just to give you a view, and I'm not going to use it, but it gives you a view of the sort of information that FileMaker can actually keep and add to your rich database system. One of the things that we've also started to develop, purely because we are Apple orientated, is the use of PDFs. Now PDFs we can send to our client quite easily by either sending them out as a large map, or we can split the map into certain areas and send them out as a booklet. This is quite easy to do. Export PDF, batch, and send them straight out to your client. Clients love it because they've got an easy medium to use and to search. Don't forget, PDFs can be searched on the PC and on the Mac. If you've got the accession number, then you know where you want to see it. Put the number into the search and it'll take you straight through to it. So, one of the other things that we've got, and as a great man said yesterday, those of you who stood up late last night and watched Steve Jobs turn up onto the Apple stage to the loud applause of the congregation because nobody expected it, I'll do you another thing. Because what we can do is to take the information that is in this particular database and port it straight across to the iPad. The iPad has got some incredible functions in it. Now my partner, my co-director is now going to try and plug in and show you some of the things that we can do. Because what we can do is we can export this. No, it's not even exported. It's actually, we take the FileMaker file and port it straight across into the iPad. That together with the PDF files that we've got straight into there, we can use either the standalone PDF reader that Apple supplies, or you can get the app Goodreader. And I strongly suggest you go for Goodreader because it's a lot richer. And this is how it works. Now I'm going to talk, I'm going to stand to one side, because what we've got here is an Arboretum. And I don't know how many trees are on this one. Yeah, there's 18,000 trees in this particular. And what we'd like to do is to use, can we show the FileMaker? Oh, we can't show FileMaker, it doesn't like it. Okay, so what we can do is we'll actually, as you can see on this, we split the site up into a series of booklets. It's a PDF booklet, and each one of these booklets is numbered. This is number 1, and it shows where it is at the top of the site, and each one of those trees there is actually numbered, and we can search for those just by using the search terms at the top there. And where it is, it'll go straight to it, and it'll tell you which zone that tree is in. This is nothing special, this is just good draftsmanship. by using the power of Vectorworks to put it up onto the screen as a PDF, and we can see exactly where it is. So Joel's now going to search for one, and it's come straight to it, and if he zooms out of it, it'll tell him what page we're on. He hopes, he prays, there it goes. And if we move it just across a tad, it'll tell you that we're right up on that on number 2 screen. And of course, if you're the owner of that site, you know precisely where that particular information is, and you can start to zoom into your map and see where it is and go to it. So the information that we've got in Vectorworks is not locked in. Clients sometimes don't want to be bothered with the technical CAD side of it. They want a simple database, a simple map that they can use and walk around their sites and use. So we've done this, we've exported it out as PDF, and we've exported the data in Vectorworks and added to it, and then allowed you to use it on simple things like Filesmaker Go within the iPad. Extremely powerful, extremely useful to the clients. And I think that's about it. Have I covered everything? I think so. He's smiling, he's happy. Thank you very much. Thank you for stopping by. If you want any more information, we've got a little bit down on the floor there. And if you want to see it actually live working on my Mac, please stop me over there and we'll show you exactly how it works. Thank you very much.